In this video, I'm going to show you the true vibration of weed, alcohol, and plant medicine, and I'm going to show you how to raise your vibration above it all. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron, and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you something that's a little bit more edgy when it comes to understanding vibration. And I've talked before in prior videos about the vibration of different states of consciousness, the vibration of different energies and emotions. But in this video, I thought I would calibrate the vibration of weed, alcohol, and what is called plant medicine. Now, just to be clear on the process that we are using for that of calibrating these different herbs or these different processes of fermentation or whatever it is, it has to do with understanding a book that is called Power versus Force, which has to do with something called kinesiology, which is muscle testing. And the idea is that our subconscious mind can use this tool, this model, for understanding different vibrational calibrations. Now, this scale of consciousness I will put right here for a second to show you. And that scale of consciousness starts at the bottom with shame, fear, guilt, anger. You eventually see neutrality. Then you see that of acceptance, willingness, reasoning, love, joy, peace, enlightenment. Every single person has a certain gravity where their natural set point is. And what happens is each one of those perspectives, each one of those, that person's vibration will calibrate there. That will be their natural set point. Plus, there are different places that resonate at a certain frequency. You could look at maybe Machu Picchu, which would resonate at a very high frequency, closer to 400 or 500, which is high for a location to be that high in vibration. There's places like Maui resonates higher than some other places. Then you'll have some places on the world that resonate a little bit lower. And based on the consciousness of the people that live there, based on the intention when people go there, I would imagine that I live here in Las Vegas, and the Las Vegas Strip, maybe not all of Las Vegas, but the Las Vegas Strip, I would imagine, because of what it promotes, doesn't necessarily resonate that high on the vibrational scale. But what you can begin to become aware of is that there's different vibrations, different calibrations. And when you become aware of it, it becomes kind of fun, because then you can see what you do and how you feel and where you enjoy being. And some of this could even evolve that of different activities. Listening to classical music, for example, carries with it a certain vibration, normally in the 400s, which is also considered a high vibrational activity. You have certain sports that resonate higher. You have certain activities that may resonate lower, maybe certain types of music that promote violence or that promote some type of, anger, and that would be a lower vibrational thing that may actually make you feel lower vibrational. Now, as well as the places, as well as the activities that you can do, there's also a certain resonance when it comes to different vibrational substances. And in this video, that's why I want to talk about weed, alcohol, and plant medicine. Now, for this process, I have this scale right here, which just kind of maps out a little bit of the symbol of what the vibrations are. And the first thing I want to say is, back in 2012, now when I share what I'm about to share with you, understand that there's no bad or good. It's not that weed is bad and alcohol is bad, or weed is good and alcohol is good, or any of this. It's about understanding vibrational calibration. Because I was pretty confused, to be honest with you. I was confused because I always thought that weed was a higher vibrational plant that when you ingested would raise your vibration almost always. That was my perspective on it. Now, just to give you a little bit of a backstory behind this, back in 2012, if you haven't heard my story already, I used to be labeled what's called ADHD, and I would take Adderall for it. And every day I would go into work. I worked at Nordstrom's and women's shoes. I'd take Adderall, I'd be really focused at work, I'd make a lot of money, and then I would go home at the end of the day, and the side effects of Adderall are you don't eat very much, you don't sleep very much. So to combat that, what I would do is I would take Adderall during the day, and at nighttime I would smoke weed when I got home so that I could eat food and so that I could sleep good, because otherwise my appetite wasn't there and I couldn't sleep that good at night. So for a while, it's back in 2011, 2012, I was doing Adderall during the day and weed at night. Now, the thing was, is I was doing and smoking weed, and it was something that I enjoyed doing as well. But then what happened is eventually I had what is called a spiritual awakening. I went through a process where I started to become aware of my own beliefs, of my own thought processes. I started to tap into an energy that was just completely different than anything I ever knew before. And I learned meditation. And for me, meditation was what changed everything. I learned how to observe my thoughts rather than react. I realized that I had a belief that said that I couldn't focus and that the only solution was taking the Adderall, which is what the doctor was prescribing me. And then I realized that I could change that belief. I could observe these thoughts. Before, I was trying to control my thoughts, which caused resistance. Then what I did is I simply observed them and I allowed those thoughts to be there. And as I did that, I started to feel this state of presence. I started to feel this state of, I started to feel this energy that I can't really describe. And from that point on, I just decided that every day I'm going to meditate for 10-15 minutes in the morning and then 10-15 minutes at night. And that changed my whole entire life. Now, during this process, before I was smoking weed, after I started to meditate, I would then occasionally, I would realize that there's sometimes I would forget to smoke. I was normally like, I'd get home from work and I would start smoking, and then what happened is I was like, wait, I didn't have as much of a desire to smoke. And slowly but surely, I just had this intuitional thing that I knew it was time for me to quit doing it. I had this feeling that it wasn't actually serving me anymore, and that it was something that taught, or that was conducive for a while, but it was time for me to actually let it go. I just had this feeling, almost like this knowing, and I didn't want to hear it at first. I remember anytime I read anything online, like I wouldn't even watch a YouTube video like this of someone talking about it, because it would annoy me, and I'd be like, no, I don't want anything that negates what I've been doing. I don't want to feel guilty about it, But eventually what happened is I realized that when I would do it less and less, I'd actually feel better. And then there was a couple times where I would do it and it would actually bring my vibration down. Well, now that I know the vibration of all of this, it makes total sense, because what happens is every single person listening to this video right now, your natural set point is and can be over 400 to 500. Between 400 and 500, I'd say every single person listening to this can have a natural set point there, which is the idea, which is reasoning, which is a certain state of understanding our beliefs create our reality, a certain level of passion that's involved there. And the thing is when you get to that state, if you were to smoke weed, which calibrates at about 350, which, think about it, 350 is about the level of acceptance. What happens when you smoke? Normally you accept the moment, right? There's a certain level of allowance there. Everything's good. You accept. So sometimes when you look at weed, it can actually make people take a little bit less action, because over that you have that of reasoning, which is where there's also a sense of willpower and moving in a certain direction. A lot of personal growth, like Tony Robbins content, would be in the 300s to 400s range. Now, the thing is weed resonates at 350. So is weed bad or good? Neither. It just is. It depends on your vibration. Now, for example, if you're feeling a lot of negative vibration, maybe you had a really bad day, maybe things are coming that were happening to you, and you felt like you just had one of those days. If you were feeling lower vibrational emotion, you were to smoke, it may actually bring your vibe up. Now, I'm not saying that that's the cure, is to always have to, I felt like I was always going to something when I was smoking a lot. I felt like I needed the Adderall during the day and I needed the weed at night. So I felt dependent on it. So because I felt dependent, I eventually said, you know what, there's got to be another way. That's when I did research and found meditation, which eventually led to my spiritual awakening. So the idea is that if you're feeling low vibrational emotion and you were to do it, it could raise your vibration. But then a lot of times, then people feel like they need it in order to keep it at that 350 level. And sometimes it depends on the intention too. A lot of time, if people smoke weed and they're just they're just almost kind of, some people are actually abusing it. It's a sacred plant to many people, to many different ancient traditions, but many people just do it, burn it, burn it, burn it. They have no necessarily respect for the plant itself, which I know sounds like a hippy-dippy type perspective, but when you start to treat things with a more sacred perspective like that, it actually raises the frequency of it as well. But in general, you'll find that weed resonates at about 350, And yes, it may resonate higher than alcohol. However, it is still lower than your natural set point. When you raise your vibrational set point, what happens is you feel good a majority of the time, and these things bring you down. People ask me sometimes if I smoke weed or I drink. I don't. Not to say I'm higher vibrational than everyone else. I know it sounds annoying for someone to say that they don't drink or smoke, because then it makes other people feel like they're doing something wrong if they do it every now and then. But when you focus on raising your vibration naturally, you won't need any of that. I feel high a majority of the time. Yes, it still fluctuates. There's still things that happen, but I really believe that that's our natural state, and that every single person listening can tap into it. So weed resonates at about 350 on the scale of consciousness, and what you'll realize is the more you raise your vibration, the less you will gravitate towards it. And then what you'll notice is, now we'll talk about that of alcohol. Now, alcohol is something that they call spirits. I wonder why they call it spirits. Well, a lot of times what happens is when you drink alcohol, you get to a certain level of unconsciousness to where you are more influenceable. There is more influence possible by that of different spirits that may be around. And I remember when I was drinking back in the day, and there were times that I would drink so much that I would forget things that I did. And I'd be told the next day by other people things that I did that were totally out of character for me. And it's amazing to me that people could tell me stories of things that I don't consciously remember, yet I did and said. Now, learning more about this and doing the work that I've noticed with, whether it's either like the Seth materials by Jane Roberts, different books that I've read, it appears that there is more of an influence for spirits to have on us when we were on that. I believe that if you go to certain bars where maybe some people are alcoholic, you may find that there are a lot more spirits that dwell there, because there's a little bit more influence there that they have. So it's kind of like a little playground for them, for spirits that are in between our realm and the higher realm, or different states of consciousness. So they call it spirit. They also call it liquid courage. It's ironic because courage resonates right at about this frequency as well. And sometimes, once again, is it bad or good? Well, I think it depends on the intention that the people use it. I think that if you're in a high vibration and you're celebrating, you drink a little bit, I don't think it's going to bring your vibration all the way down. But in general, if people overindulge, I think that a lot of times it can bring the vibration down. But in general, alcohol is at normally a lower vibration than that of weed. That's just on the vibrational scale from calibrating it using muscle testing. And what I was explaining earlier is you can calibrate using the strength of your subconscious mind is also within your body. Your body will go strong on things that are true, on statements that are true, and weak when statements are false. And what they've been able to do is use this model, which then our body can use to calibrate these different levels. So this is something that was done in the book Power versus Force, and many other in kinesiology it's used quite often, but it's very powerful for understanding these different levels of consciousness. So far we have weed at 350, we have alcohol at 270, and it's about becoming aware of how these might be influencing your vibration. The truth is you are a high vibrational being, and when when I let go of, and I learned meditation, my vibration began to actually just raise, and if I do any of these other things, it would just bring me down. And I would feel not so good because of it. So the last thing I'll talk about is something that is called plant medicine. Now, plant medicine, you could, I guess, consider to be mushrooms. You could be considered something called San Pedro. You could consider, what else? There would be ayahuasca. So these different plant medicines have also been calibrated. And what I find interesting, now here's the thing. I do not think, and I am not encouraging, that any of us need to do these things in order to get to higher states of consciousness or in order to tap into ourselves. Because I believe that we can go within. We can have a lot of these experiences at our own level of consciousness through deep levels of meditation, through mantras, through different, I know they have drum circles where there's a different frequency of drumming that influences the brainwave activity, which then as they drum at a different beat begins to change the brainwave activity to where we can have different states of consciousness. However, one thing that I do find interesting is that there are plant medicines that resonate at 500, which is very high. 500 between 500 and 600, there are certain plant medicines that resonate there. These are considered sacred plant medicines. Now, I go to Costa Rica every year. I legally do Aya in these places, which is short for ayahuasca. And it is something that I do that makes me aware of the path that I'm on. It makes me aware of some of the subconscious things that I'm working through. And you can really feel like there's a divine essence there that is, in a way, showing different parts of the psyche, different parts of the subconscious mind that are unaware. Now, in general, though, these vibrations are calibrated at a high level of vibration. Now, the thing is sometimes when you do these things, it will bring up negative things. You've probably heard stories of people talking about Aya and how it brings up negative things. Well, here's the reason that happens. It resonates at a high frequency that then brings up any of the things that aren't already dealt with. It brings it up for you to deal with so that you can then clear it out and let it go. So when it's done in a sacred type setting with people that are highly qualified, like the place that I go in Costa Rica, where there's people that are trained and been training their whole entire lives to do it, which are like called shaman. And what it does is it then there's a way of becoming aware of these things that haven't been processed yet. I become aware of childhood memories I forgot about. I become aware of different things that didn't allow you to process it. The other thing some plant medicines do is it gets you out of your identity. It makes you become aware of your ego, your identity. And the thing is your self-image is creating your life experience. The way you see yourself is projected out to other people. And what it helps you to do is it helps you to break down the filters, the barriers, the beliefs you have about who you think you are. And what that does is that eventually allows you to integrate and to let go of a lot of these lower things that don't serve. Now, those can resonate at a higher frequency. And ones like mushrooms or those ones I was talking about resonate right at about 500. Now, once again though, when I talk about these things, I'm not saying to go do any of it. I am saying to do your own research. A lot of places in the US, these are illegal, so I'm not saying anything. All I'm saying is that it's interesting to me how this works and the intention of each, and how and what it can do. I think that this can, for some people, it can be a powerful tool for people to break down their identity, their ego, to become aware. You know, they've done a lot of research with mushrooms and seeing that people that take it, that are on their deathbed, or people that are terminally ill, how it changes their energy and how it changes how they view life, because they start to become more tapped in to who they really are and understanding that this is a temporary life experience that we're in right now, but we're actually eternal spiritual beings. So it's a very empowering type process. However, be aware of where your vibration is. Know that you don't need any of this. You are a high vibrational being. If you use any of them, you might use them as tools, but be aware that the power's not in the tool, the power's within you. And the quote that I like by Alan Watts is, once you get the message, hang up the phone. These served me for a period of time. I got the message. I stayed on the phone, I stayed on the phone longer than I needed to. Then eventually what happened is I hung up the phone, my vibration was naturally higher. I believe that you can go through that process as well. And if you're wondering why your current vibration is calibrating, what you can do is in the top of the description box below, there's a website called whatsmyvibration.com. You can take a survey, and at the end of it, it will show you your calibration using archetypes and show you how to raise your vibration. And you'll also get a meditation from me that will show you how to get to the next level of consciousness. So it's whatsmyvibration.com. It's completely free. You can take the survey. It takes about a minute for you to fill out. And whatsmyvibration.com, or the top of the link, you'll see the link in the top of the description box below. Let me know if you want me to do more vibration calibrations like this on different things, whether it's music, whether that's places or whatever. Let me know in the comments below, and like this video if you want me to do more videos like this, and I will consider doing those as well. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I'll see you on the next vid. Peace, much love, and namaste.